Hi there, everyone. Good day. And this is teacher Jen Daisy. And today we are going to talk about sentence and Filipinism. So let's begin. So now let's start by talking about sentence. So what is sentence? So sentence is a combination of words, usually contains a subject and a predicate. It expresses a complete thought or idea or asks questions. It starts with a capital letter to express your meaning clearly in writing. So you could use punctuation marks like period or question mark or etc. So there are three kinds of sentence. The first one is declarative sentence. The second one is interrogative sentence. And the third one is imperative sentence. So let's have declarative sentence. What is declarative sentence? Declarative sentence is a kind of sentence that makes a statement. For example, Hag Pag-asa announced this morning that classes are postponed due to a typhoon. And let's have interrogative sentence. Interrogative sentences are sentences that ask a question. For example, where have you been? What time is it? And the third one is imperative. So imperative sentence is a sentence that gives a command. Keep off the grass. Now, let's have the parts of a sentence. So, every sentence must contain a subject and a predicate verb. Example: time passes quickly in the summer. Selena should have been driving with more care. He is tired. My boyfriend and I broke up. So every sentence should have a subject. So what is subject? So subject is what is spoken about in the sentence. It is the doer of the action that is indicated by the verb. So a subject could be a noun or a pronoun. Now let's have verb or predicate. What is verb or what is predicate? So, predicate consists of a verb, which could be one word or a verb phrase. So, it indicates the action or state of being of the sentence. So, to further understand the relationship of subject and verb in the sentence and how sentences are formed, we must know the rules in subject and verb agreement. So let's have subject and verb agreement. Now we are going to talk about the rules of this subject and verb agreement. So the basic rule states that a singular subject takes a singular verb, while a plural subject takes a plural verb. Okay, so please take a note. The trick is in knowing whether the subject is singular or plural. The next trick is recognizing a singular or plural verb. So there's a hint. Verbs do not form their plurals by adding an S as nouns do. So as I've said a while ago, plural verb without S, plural noun with S, singular subject without S, singular verb with S. Now, let's have the singular noun and plural noun. So let's have the examples here. Singular noun, she, and singular verb is puts. So she puts the book on the table. She goes to the mall. She does the laundry. These are these sentences has singular noun and singular verb. Now let's take a look with the plural nouns and plural verb. Examples are they put the book on the table. They go to the mall. They do the laundry. Now let's have the subject verb agreement and let's talk rule number one. Rule number one states that two singular subjects connected by or require a singular verb. Example, my aunt or my uncle is arriving by train today. Rule number two, when I is one of the subjects connected by or, put it second and follow it with a singular verb am. So, example, either she or I am going to the festival. Rule number three, when singular subject is connected by or to a plural subject, put the plural subject last and use a plural verb. Example, the serving bowl or the plate go on that shelf. Rule number four, as a general rule, use a plural verb with two or more subjects when they are connected by and. Example, a car and a bike are my means of transportation. But note these exceptions. In those sentences, breaking and entering in bed and breakfast are compound nouns. Breaking and entering is against the law. The bed and breakfast was charming. Rule number five. Sometimes the subject is separated from the verb by the words such as along with, as well as, besides, or not. Ignore these expressions when determining whether to use a singular or plural verb. They are just considered extra information but do not affect the main subject. Examples, the politician, along with the newsman, is expected shortly. Excitement, as well as nervousness, is the cause of her shaking. Rule number six, the pronouns each, everyone, everybody, anyone, anybody, someone, and somebody are singular and require singular verbs. Do not be misled by what follows of. Examples, each of the girls sings well. Every one of the cakes is gone. Rule number seven. We neither is the subject. They always take singular verbs. Either of us is capable of doing the job. Rule number eight. Use a singular verb with distances, periods of time, sums of money, etc. when considered as a unit. Examples, $10 is a high price to pay. 5 years is 5 years is the maximum sentence for that offense. 3 miles is too far to walk. Let's have rule number nine. Rule number nine states that collective nouns such as team and staff may be either singular or plural, depending on their use in a sentence. Examples, the staff is in a meeting. The staff is acting as a unit here. The staff are in disagreement about the findings. The staff are acting as separate individuals in this example. The sentence would read even better as the staff members are in disagreement about the findings. Now, we are going to have the subject and verb agreement exercise so you can answer it and you may pass it in the Google Classroom. So there are 10 items of this exercise. So now let's talk about Philippinism. So what is Philippinism? Philippinisms are English words or phrases resulting from the literal translation of Filipinos to English terms. Here under are some of the examples of Filipinisms that are commonly used. Example, fill up the form. It should be fill out the form. Filipinism is carabao. The correct one, it should be water buffalo. We talk about soft drink, so it should be soda. Traffic should be traffic jam. Traffic jam. It could be light, moderate, or heavy traffic. And the last one is trainer. Instead of trainer, we should say trainer. I texted you should be I sent you a text message. Fall in line. It should be stand in line or form a line. Bottomless iced tea. It should be refillable iced tea. Come again. It should be pardon me or can you please repeat that? Next week should be 2 weeks from now. Connected with the company should be associated with, working with, or studying with. It's for free should be it's free of charge or it's free. Cope up should be cope with. Can I hold you? It should be can I place this call on hold? For a while should be for a short while or for a moment because for a while means for a long time. Aircon should be AC or air conditioner or air conditioning unit. In Philippinism, often used ref or frigidaire, so it should be refrigerator or fridge. Open, open the computer or the TV or close the computer or TV. It should be turn on the computer or turn on the TV, or you should also say turn off the computer or turn off the TV. CR, instead of CR, we should say toilet, restroom, powder room, or bathroom. Rubber shoes should be sneakers. Xerox should be photocopy. I took up law. We should say I took law. Tuck out is untuck. He was salvaged. He was assassinated, or he was murdered, or he was killed. I talked to her already. It should be I already talked to her. Sewer should be tailor boy, tailor for boys, or seamstress for girls. Currently, I live in Calamba right now, so that is kind of redundant. I currently live in Calamba. Go down at Tanza Terminal. Instead, we should say get off at Tanza Terminal. Beauty with brain should be beauty with brains because brains has two parts and that is left brain and right brain. This is very, very common. I commute every day. Instead, we should say, I take a cab or I take a bus, I take a jeepney every day. Not unless, so this is a redundant phrase. We should say, unless only. Like, for example, this is also redundant. We should say, for example, or like. They should not be combined. I have colds. We should say, I have a cold. I must need to pass the test. Instead, we say, I need to pass the test or I must pass the test. I am more better than you. So this is also redundant. More better. I am better than you. Can you please repeat that again? So here we have redundancy again. Let's say like repeat and again. So it's redundant. So instead of saying that, we can say, can you please repeat that? Now we have kukunband or kukumban. So instead we should say bond paper. And here there is the spelling. Instead of saying you're the winner without the apostrophe, we should say you're with apostrophe RE, the winner. You're the winner. Because your is short for you are. Okay, now let's continue. Equipments, furnitures, informations. As you can see, we cannot put S with these words because they are not changeable into plural form. So they do not change their form even if they are plural. Instead, we just need to stick to its base form. That is equipment, furniture, information without S. He will tell you his secrets. So he will tell you his secrets. So the preposition here is unnecessary. So to is not necessary. He is one of the teacher in the school. So as you can see, one of the teacher. So of course, at school there is more than one teacher. So we should say teachers. He is one of the teachers in the school. When we use the one of the expression, it is one unit over many units. So instead of teacher, teachers. He is one of my best friends. Instead, we can say he is my best friend or he is one of my close friends. When we use the word best, it should only be one because that is a superlative. You're a plastic person. So this is very common among Filipinos. So instead of that, we should say you're a disingenuous person. Now, let's talk about this, how to avoid Filipinism. So Filipinism generally pertains to the Filipino English, which is the result of dynamic evolution of the English language when it is adopted by the Filipino people. The adoption process of the English would inevitably involve some changes because of the influence of the local culture. This evolution of language is a common phenomenon in as much as there is Ebonics. Ghetto English evolved from American English, which in turn evolved from British English. The easiest way to avoid Filipinism in English communication is to identify common terms or phrases that are used by Filipinos in English, which is not actually used by Americans, and practice using American terms for the same. For instance, use toilet instead of CR, pardon instead of come again, to go instead of take out, tissue instead of napkin, and so on. Obviously, it would practically be impossible to think and identify all the Filipinism that we use. In most cases, we might not even be aware of which terms belong to such a category. Hence, conversing with your American boss, an American friend, or an Americanized Filipino, or someone who grew up in the States would also help so that one would know what Filipino English sounded odd to them. Another alternative way to avoid Filipinism is to actually learn American English communications by exposing oneself to American culture. So this can be facilitated by watching American films, or movies, reading American books, listening to American music, or just chatting with some stranger in America via the internet, and among other means. This will help familiarize oneself with the culture of the American English language. So this time we have a Filipino expression exercise. So you just have to translate the sentences to English. If there would be Filipinism expressions, you should correct it. You can also uh, pass it in our Google Classroom if you are done. So that is 10 items. And now we also have grammatical errors here. So you should underline and correct the 10 grammatical errors in the following passages. And you can also submit it in our Google Classroom if you are done with it. So this time, let's have our reading practices. So this, I will read it for you on how to read these paragraphs. So let's have reading practice number one. How to achieve world peace. Atomic bombs, nuclear weapons, graft and corruption, crimes, famine, thirst, blood. Name it. The world has it. Nations against nations, state against church, government against the armed forces, military versus the fascists, innocent civilians in between. The guns rattled, the deafening sounds filled the air, then silence. Is there still a way out? In an instant, our lives are threatened with uncertainty. Our children facing bleak future. Everything seems dark ahead. Everything is vague. But still, everybody gropes for everybody gropes for soothing words to say. Everybody hopes. Yet, what is there to hope for? But then, hope. We must not let this go out of our hands, out of our grasps, out of our lives completely. It is not a question of our differences, not even of not even of our mistakes, but rather of our principles that we can finally resolve and come up, hopefully, with the most taken for granted word, peace. Yes, peace. There is nothing so clear about this, nothing so elusive, but only this is the most abused word. Its meaning drowned with a successive bang bang of guns. Our senses have become numbed, our consciousness refusing to believe its existence. We often regard peace with its negatively charged counterparts: war, friction, contention. Yet, we never progressed. We never dare unbosom our blunder. We never even care to make it our overriding concern to propagate peace and rouse the underlying benevolence deep within our hearts. Can we not, even just for once, succeed from our mistakes, learn from our past, and come out spiritually unctioned? Let's face it, our principles are as rotten as our faith in God. We may not be aware of this, but it is an established fact that more often than not, our tendency is to seek refuge in worldly splendor, unaware that we are only putting a limit to our chance of finding serenity. We are in labyrinth of moral darkness, lost and searching, and unless we work for our escape, we will be trapped forever. How many of those people up there have sold their principles in one way or another just to be where they illogically think they belong? How many of them have preferred to get into demagoguery just to win power, accumulate wealth, and get entombed to the most influential part of society? And how many of us have ever thought of peace as the most basal requirement for us? to ever find happiness. Yet, you might ask, how? There are not much rules to follow in achieving world peace. The fundamental step to this must come from every person who still believes that peace can exist and is willing to give it a chance. Basically, there have to be some changes, changes that have to take place within us first. With this, we have to involve our heart, our soul, our psyche. We can't be forever modeling our peccadillos. We have to be cruel to ourselves sometimes in order to be kind to the entire humanity. Remember, to propagate peace, there has to be a contamination process. Next, it must be considered that for as long as pride and prejudice exist, peace shall never be within our reach. People always try to have for themselves the best of everything: power, influence, money, at whatever cost, and stepping the rights of others in the process. They will try to outdo one another and then come out as the morally restrained heroes. Yet, no one will ever know that going to the top means rejecting the principles that are parallel to the law of God and to the law of people. We have indeed an animal instinct in us to disregard peace, deflate our principles, and go on with the things that are arbitrary to our impulses. Yes, everything is up to us. Everything must come from us, and we are held responsible for whatever future that awaits us. It is time to wake up now. We just could not let ourselves be swayed into something horribly inevitable. We have been in this maze since time immemorial, and we shall always be in this delirium unless we learn abnegate our own personal yet selfish motives. Man lifts up man up. Man drags man down. Indeed, man is a rational being, but he ceases to be one the moment casuistry steps in. We are living in a life wherein facts are much stranger than fiction. But then we live in no dreamland. There is that grim reality that we have to deal with. We are given the G of logic to think and reason out correctly, but we are also given the prerogative to use this in such a way that it serves a common purpose or a morally accepted ideology. Life is a game, they say. These things are just the basic and the elementary steps to the achievement of world peace. The underlying tone to these things tell us for our faith in God to save us from a crisis of our own making. If we have failed ourselves, God never will. Indeed, the achievement of peace is just a matter of standardization of our moral and principles, of our faith in ourselves, in others, and in Him, and of the unfolding of justice for the entire humanity. St. Thomas Aquinas once said, Pax opus justitia. Peace is the product of justice. Is there still a way out? No one can ever tell. Nobody can ever be sure. But one thing is certain. My man will never know the essence of peace, not unless he knows the real meaning of death. All right, that is a very heartful and full of emotion um, as a reading practice. Okay, so now we have our second part of reading practice. So the title of this practice is Believe You Can Succeed and You Will. So this one is a very nice one. So let's have this. Practice number 2. Success means many wonderful positive things. Success means personal prosperity, a fine home, vacations, travel, new things, financial security, giving your children maximum advantages, etc. Success means winning admiration, leadership, being looked up to by the people in your business and social life. Success means freedom, freedom from worries, fears, frustrations, and failure. Success means self respect, continually finding more real happiness and satisfaction from life, being able to do more for those who depend on you. Success means winning. Success achievement is the goal of life. Every human being wants success. Everybody wants the best this life can deliver. Nobody enjoys crawling, living in mediocrity. No one likes feeling second class and feeling forced to go that way. Some of the most practical success building wisdom is found in that biblical quotation stating that faith can move mountains. Believe, really believe, that you can move a mountain, and you can. Not many people believe that they can move mountains. So, as a result, not many people do. On some occasion, you've probably heard some say something like, it's nonsense to think that it's nonsense to think you can make a mountain move away. It's simply impossible. People who think this way have belief confused with wishful thinking. And true enough, you can't wish away a mountain. You can't wish yourself into an executive suite or suite, nor can you wish yourself into a 5 bedroom, 3 bath house or the high income brackets. You can't wish yourself into a position of leadership. But you can move a mountain with belief. You can win success by believing you can succeed. There is nothing neither magical nor mystical about the power of belief. Belief works this way. Belief, the I'm positive I can attitude generates the power, skill, and energy needed to do. When you believe I can do it, the how to do it develops. Every day, all over the world, young people start working in new jobs. Each of them wishes that someday he could enjoy the success that goes by reaching the top. But the majority of these young people still simply don't have the belief that it takes the top rungs, and they don't reach the top. Believing it's impossible to climb high, they do not discover the steps that lead to great heights. Their behavior remains that of the average person. But a small number of these young people really believe they will succeed. They will approach their work with the I'm going to the top attitude, and with substantial belief, they reach the top, believing they will succeed and that it's not impossible. These folks study and observe the behavior of senior executives. They learn how successful people approach problems and make decisions. They observe the attitudes of successful people. Those who believe they can move mountains do. Those who believe that they can't cannot. Belief triggers the power to do. Belief in great results is the driving force, the power behind all great work, great books, plays, scientific discoveries. Belief in success is behind every successful business, church, and political organization. Belief in success is the one basic, absolutely essential ingredient in successful people. Believe, really believe you can succeed and you will. All right. So that ends our discussion for today. And that reading practice is really awesome and so inspiring. So thank you so much for today and I hope you have a great day. Goodbye.